When I tell you Angela and Shamea were killing me at the end, honestly, the way that they were going back and forth and tit for tat with each other, like, and then to make it worse, the way they kept coming back and forth and like being not interjecting, but just doing her job. Every time she was just standing there, like, I couldn't believe it. And then they did like on scene confessional or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. My name is OJ, and today we are reviewing the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season number 17, episode number 8. Please like this video, please subscribe, please leave a comment, please share, do all the fun things. I have my notes here, just by the way. If you see me keep looking down, that's what I'm referring to. I just took notes based off the show and based off, like, I guess you could say the sequential order from start to finish. So we start off the show with them continuing from last week's almost fight night at the table, when that still takes me out. When Phaedra was like, so what we have established, and then Kelli jumps in that Porsha has fucked every Nigerian in Atlanta. Porsha was like, that was funny. And then obviously they both stood up. Both got pulled apart. Porsha, Phaedra, and Angela and Drew, they all went to another side of the house, well, inside the house. Kelli, Shamea, Pinky, and K. Michelle all were together, like, just sort of trying to, like, break them up and, I guess, figure out what the hell is going on. So, obviously, Porsha, when she was standing up and walking away, she says that Kelli is sleeping with a married man last season. What I want to know, or what my question is why was Porsha so triggered when Kelli had said that, Porsha has slept with every Nigerian in Atlanta? I mean, Porsha was married to a Nigerian. Also, that doesn't mean that she slept with everyone, but, like, was there some truth to it? I'm not saying that that's what Porsha is doing or that's what she's into, but if she is, then no shade. Like, it is what it is, I guess. So obviously Porsha says that Kelli fucked a Nigerian man on the plane, on a private jet. How she knew this? I don't know if she says how she knows this, but the way that Porsha was saying that she knew this information, or the way she was, I guess, purporting this information to us, it comes across like she either knew first-hand information or she had known the guy. I wonder if whoever that person was knew Porsha in some way or whatever. I'm just not sure how it all ties into each other, but I guess because Kelli jumped in, Porsha had something for her, and then they were both going back and forth. Okay, so Porsha, while they're away with Porsha, Phaedra, Drew, and Angela, Porsha says that Kelli has beef with Porsha because of K. Michelle. Which I guess it makes sense, because obviously the last few episodes we see the other three or the other four all as a group. Like, the group's literally split. The other half is on one side, the other half with all the veterans are on the other side, and all the newbies are sort of together. So, I mean, to me, that kind of does make sense, but at the same time, I'm unsure. Because you also know how K. Michelle was talking about, like, this potential plot, or there was a plot that was said, or there's a plot that's, being brought onto the show to try to, find out information about her, try to bring her down. It's giving that as well from the other side with K. Michelle, Pinky, Kelli, and Shamea as well. If that makes sense at all. I just said here, Phaedra, Porsha, and Angela go one way. Obviously, I already mentioned that. While Kelli, Shamea, and Pinky were all talking together, Kelli then says that she, has to leave, or she just has, like, a lot going on, and she really doesn't want to talk about, like, I guess, what is really going on with her, which, I get, which is fair. And I will say, actually, before I keep going forward, the more I think about it, you remember when Porsha, K. Michelle, and Kelli all had the sit down, and then Porsha first dropped the information that she knew about how Kelli had allegedly slept with a married man for BET weekend. And Kelli denied it, and then there was, like, K. Michelle's first impression or interaction with Porsha as it pertains to this show. I am still trying to figure out if I do believe that. I'm not saying I don't believe it, and I'm not saying I do believe it. I'm just saying I'm not sure. Like, is there more information? Is there more proof about this? I don't know. I guess we'll see as time goes on, or we'll probably never will see. So obviously Kelly leaves, and then Angela was telling the girls, she was just saying, she says that Kay has said in the past how she has had a hard time being friends with females. And I wrote down here, I wonder why. And the reason why I'm saying I wonder why is I always found it interesting, or find it very interesting, whenever a girl, a lady, a woman refers to other, ladies as females. I don't know, it comes across, maybe, you know, I'm a bit biased because, I personally believe in women's rights. I personally go up for the girls and all that and everything good. I'm for the girls, pretty much. So whenever I hear someone say that, or men refers to a woman as female, I don't know, it gives me like male identifying vibes. It gives me like, maybe I would even go as far as to say pick me, and that's just my personal opinion. You don't have to agree, but so yeah, when Angela said that, the reason I said I wonder why was, I was like, well, based off how K Michelle is acting currently in the season, based off how she is still going on and on, either about drama that was like outside the show, or drama that from her perception had happened to her, or was shade towards her, which I don't think it was. I can see that. I feel like she gives me the vibes that she will look for any sort of issue with any woman, anything that could come up, anything in relation. She, I don't know, she gives me those vibes. And also, a little sidetrack, I've seen like clips of some of her most recent interviews. It's either with Shay Shay, or I think Breakfast Club, someone else. And she was saying how she and her husband, I guess they have an open relationship or something, or she doesn't have an issue with like who he sleeps with. Like, my thing is this: if you're gonna be married, why bother? If you're gonna be in a committed relationship, why bother? Like, I don't understand. Maybe I should be more open minded, but for me personally, I just don't get it. It is what it is. I just thought I'd say like a little side note. Um, while they were all talking, I guess this is when like they all, like, Kay and them had already left, and then Kay then starts talking about Drew, and starts talking about Drew's looks and Drew's face, and she says that Drew has a funny face. And at first I was thinking, oh, like maybe one of her facial expressions, and then she said she has the faces, and like, like, what's going on type of thing. But then, like, the more I thought about it, I was like, was Kay Michelle like taking a dig at Drew's looks? Because if she is, then I'm just like, Kay Michelle, we know what you look like years ago. We know what you look like when Love and Hip Hop first started, or when you first joined. So let's, Drew is a beautiful woman. Like, Kay looks good. Kay has had good work done. I even think that she looks good back in the day. But for her to try to be shady towards someone's looks, it just wasn't landing for me. I just wasn't getting it, but it is what it is at this point. So Porsha, Drew, Angela, and Phaedra all go back to the table, and then they just start talking about everything that's going on. While they're all at the table, Phaedra gets up to go check on Kay and Pinky. Pinky, see, Pinky is funny. Pinky mentioned something that is so me. She was just like, like with all this fighting and everything going on, she didn't even get to eat her entree, and I feel the same way. I'm like, and the food looks good. Phaedra, every time someone comes over, Phaedra has a good spread. She always has a good food. She always has good food. Like, no one goes hungry, in my opinion, around Phaedra, and I love that for her. Like, God bless. And then obviously Pinky and Kay leave. They leave together. Pinky compliments Phaedra for giving her a plate, because Phaedra does give her a plate. I would have been taking 2 or 3, however many plates. Well, as long as everyone's eaten and whatever's left, I'll take it. Thank you very much. So Pinky says that Porsha wants to, and is open to being friends with Kay. Why the hell did I run it like that? Anyway, so obviously, from what I wrote, what I understood was Pinky is telling Phaedra, or whoever she's telling, that Porsha wants to and is open to being friends with Kay, which I can see, because the last few times Porsha has mentioned, like, being a part of this group, or like her journey in this group, or how things will go for her. So I'm assuming that Porsha does want to be friends, but at the same time, I'm also like, do you want to be friends with her because you want to be friends with her? Or is it like an alliance? Is it like something to do with the show? And that is probably not working, which is my assumption, and which is why K Michelle is now turning around and saying there's a plot. Because maybe there was a plot before that K Michelle and Porsha were in on. Look, I completely made this up. So obviously they were, in my opinion, allegedly, it was a plot that they were all in on. And then now that things have not gone the way that they wanted it, or probably not how it should have been, or how they planned. And now Kate Michelle is spinning the other way, saying that there's a plot against her. I make things up all the time, so I probably shouldn't have said that anyway. And then Kate Michelle does say, so while Pinky was saying that, Kate Michelle does say that with her and Porsha, when they're one-on-one, they're cool. So I'm guessing that what she means is like in public or when they're around other people or in the setting of the group, the show, things change. And I'm not too sure how or what, in what way she means, but I guess I can kind of see it because, like, everyone's experience of you or with you is very different. Like, someone may say I'm a great, good person. Someone else may not like me as a person, but it is what it is. Porsha does, so it switches back to Porsha, and then Porsha says that she wants to know why Kay hasn't hit her up privately. And she says that obviously Kay does have her number, Kay has her details, which is something that I am wondering too. Because, like, if you're saying that we have an issue, or yeah, if you're saying that we have an issue and you have all my details, then why haven't you reached out? Why haven't you, tried to make contact so maybe we could clear the air, move forward, or just stay in the same place, or just block each other and not talk to each other? But I kind of understand at the same time, so it is what it is. So I guess while they were driving off, K Michelle says, you don't run me and you don't run Atlanta. My thing is, like, are you okay? Because never have I ever heard Porsha say that, she owns Atlanta, she runs Atlanta, or she's trying to control people. I know she hasn't said that, but, like, see, now I'm confused. Which is why I am now suddenly thinking, like, was there like a different plot? Was there like a different storyline that they were all meant to follow? And then obviously things have started falling the other way, which is why K Michelle is now saying, you don't run me and you don't run Atlanta. Or did I miss something? Because it's a very interesting thing to say. And I wrote here, is she okay? As in, like, is K Michelle okay? I am so lost with this confession or this statement from K Michelle, but there's probably something that's more to it that we don't know about. But yeah, I'm just wondering, like, in what way does she mean that, or where are we going with this? So obviously that's all the dinner, the Reiki night with Phaedra done now. It cuts to a scene of Shamea going to visit her parents. I will say that Shamea has a beautiful family. Like, her parents, they look amazing. All his siblings, they all look like each other in a way. Like, they all look like both their parents. Like, Shamea looks like both her mom and dad. Like, when I was looking at her parents, like, beautiful family, beautiful family. Obviously while they're there, Shamea then gives them like background, not background, like a story of like catching them up on what's been going on and all the drama in the group, like from the dinner to everything that has happened in Dallas. And she mentioned that the group has basically been divided since Dallas, and then I guess she talks also about how she is sort of being blamed for the split, which me personally, I wonder why or how is Shamea being blamed for the split. Like, from what I've seen, maybe I have missed something. Someone let me know, but please in a kind way. How is Shamea to be blamed for the split? Because K Michelle, when they were in Dallas and they had the breakfast thing when K Michelle started crying, obviously K Michelle shared with Shamea, right? She trusts Shamea more than she probably does the other girls. So it does make sense that she would go to whoever she trusts and not publicly share this information. And then Angela, to me, was trying to, I would assume, or I would say, I'm not sure if she was coming from a place of concern by saying that, Shamea should just say something. Shamea should just say, like, the way she was saying it was like Shamea was holding all the information. And so Shamea is literally the reason why they're just where they are, which, I don't know, I think it's weird. But, it is what it is. Shamea's family also asked about the surrogacy, and the reason I'm reacting this way is me personally, like as someone watching the show, as someone that's seen some Shamea for like, however many years now, and I followed her journey when she had her first daughter, Shia, and then they had their second daughter via surrogacy, Shiloh. And with that, then came like so many complications with the surrogate having medical issues, and then her daughter as well having medical issues. And what it seems like is Shamia, because of all that, she is she's like very emotional about it. She is very nervous because I guess it's a traumatic experience, experiencing that with a child, and for her to say that she worries about, I guess, the future of her child, and if her child is going to need her for the rest of her life. And like, I totally get that. And which to me is why I'm also like me personally, if I was in Shamia's shoes, Shamia and Gerald, I will say, I'd just be happy with the kids that I have right now. Because, especially with my second baby, if that's an issue, like, why would I then include another child when, like, potentially something else may go wrong? God forbid. Or, then my attention to look after my sick child would then be very divided, and I personally wouldn't want that. And I just think that Shamia, like, they've had so many failed surrogacy, like, what's the word, I guess, like, artificial insemination when it came to the surrogacy, and neither one of their male embryos have taken. I just feel like at some point it's okay, just let it be and just be happy with what you have. I get that Shamia, like, this is something that, her and her husband had spoken about, or this is something that they agreed on, and she wants to give her husband, like, more kids. And, like, that's fine. But at the same time, sometimes it's okay to just be like, you know what? This is where things are. If this is God's will, just let it be. And like I keep saying every time, those poor girls, to me, I just hope that they don't grow up and almost in a way see how their father or their parents weren't really satisfied with just having the two girls. They wanted another one, and specifically a son. Like, I truly, truly, truly don't understand, like, why or how that is so important. Like, especially when you're risking the health of, like, everyone, honestly, everyone involved. And I just wish them the best. Like, I truly, truly wish them the best. Like, this is crazy. Like, my heart is all over the shop with this, because this is just, oh God, this is terrible. Like, it's so sad. And I also wrote here, Shamia seems like she's checking out of the journey, which, like, I understand. I understand, like, especially if she is like the primary caregiver of her child, the current one that's like unwell, or like probably still has issues going on. Like, it is draining. And then to try to add another child to the mix, like, that is crazy. And then, like, what happens if she doesn't get her child? Sorry, a son. What happens, like, then? Like, because it's giving, like, I don't want to say this, but will their marriage continue? Like, is it something that, they both, I guess it's like a hard line in the sand where, if this doesn't happen, then Gerald's done. I don't know. I don't want to put that out there, but it's just something that I'm just very like, that's interesting. Um, Dennis and Porsha dropped PJ off at school. That was such a cute scene, like seeing them walk with her. Bless. And I also put down the way Dennis looks at her. Dennis, like I said before, you messed up. You cheated on her. You did not look after her. You did not do what you should have done as a man, as a partner, especially with someone that is pregnant, carrying your child at the most critical time. I will say, like, I don't think a lot of people understand how dangerous a pregnancy can be. Like, and I'm saying this as a man. Like, I'm saying this as someone that will never get pregnant. What on earth would possess a man to go and cheat on his partner, soon to be mother of his child, that's pregnant with his child? Whatever, that's some old news. We're not going to go back. We're just going to keep going forward. But, that was cute. Seeing them drop her off, and then Porsha taking his card, like, oh, I'll keep this. Like, that was cute. I like them. I like them, like, when they're interacting. It's funny. So Kelli meets up with Phaedra at Phaedra's place. Phaedra has a butler. Wow, like, that is amazing. Like, to me, that is goals. Like, imagine being at the stage in life where you can afford a butler. Like, someone just gets your door, like, oh yeah, she'll be down soon, and then like, your guest is here. I love that. You know what? Good on her. I love that. I will also say I like Kelly's look, like as in her outfit that she wore. It was so cute. Like I felt like it really fit her. Like it suited her body very well. Because for the most part, I feel like Kelly wears things that make her look like she's drowning in them. As in, like, 'cause she's very like small in stature, and whatever she's wearing is like so big, it looks like it's literally like swallowing her whole. So I feel like she looks really, really cute. And obviously, like Phaedra was like, "Oh, like are you wearing a bra?" Blah blah blah. Like it was cute, the interaction, and obviously they sit down and start talking. And I died when Phaedra was like, "Now what's wrong with you, child?" That was so funny to me. And then, Kelly then apologizes for, her behavior and, everything that had happened at the sound bath event. And yes, while they were talking, Kelly does apologize. And I believe, just sort of going back a bit, Porsha did mention that, or did Kelly say Porsha put her finger in it? I think Kelly said that Porsha had put her finger in her face, but I was like, to me, Kelly was the one that put the drink in Portia's face first, because once Phaedra said what she said, Kelly was then like, that Porsha has fucked every Nigerian in Atlanta, and she like did this with the glass in her face, and then that's when Porsha was doing this. So for Kelly to try to like flip it, it's like, no, we saw that you started this in that moment, as in obviously it was an ongoing beef, and in that moment you escalated it by doing that with the glass. And I'm not saying I condone violence. If anything were to happen, if Porsha were to hit her, I wouldn't say that that was right. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to tell the story straight, or tell it truthfully, because we all saw the footage. Anyway, um, also, I wrote down here, oh, she's a Porsha fan. And what I'm referring to is when Kelly was saying how, like, she's a friend 365 days of the year. But Porsha, maybe she's a friend 265 days of the year. I'm just like, oh, okay. So, like, you've been watching for some time and you're aware. Like I said, it's giving plotting because, like, obviously they've seen past shows, past episodes to, like, gather information about whoever they'll be filming or whoever they're meeting or whoever they're with now. And like I said, to me, it gives plotting, which I guess this is what they do on these shows. Like, it's a show at the end of the day. It's for our entertainment. Like, it'd be boring if you just saw them, sitting down, going eating, like, cutting up bread. Who wants to see that? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but Um, Kelly also tells Phaedra how right now with her kids, she cannot film with them, and she is saying that she doesn't, or like her kids, like in a way, I guess they're feeling out of place because they're like, like, why don't you want us there, or like what is going on? But it is like literally a matter that is like beyond her. It's to do with the courts right now. It's to do with that crazy ogre-looking man of hers, well, X-Men, I would say. Like, I hope they get it sorted because that is terrible. Um, Phaedra, like, sort of like they sort of like talk about how that, not how it works, but just what that looks like and how it is, and she suggests for Kelly to like get married again. I'm not sure, like, what does that have to do with her like showing her kids? Because that doesn't make the new person she's married to, Jarvis. She's not married to him, but if she were to marry him, he suddenly doesn't have just legal right to make it possible for the kids to film. I don't know. They also say something very interesting and something that I wholeheartedly agree with. They say that the person you marry and the person you divorce aren't the same, and that is so true. And not just divorce, but in any sort of relationship with, like, whoever you start dating, whoever you start being with, whoever you're friends with in the good times, and when you stop being friends with them and everything that comes out afterwards, like, not the same. Totally, totally not the same. So I agree with Kelly on that. The scene cuts now to Pinky and her daughter. Her daughter is posing. She is so freaking cute. Like, seeing little black kids, it is so cute. I love it. Like, I am a sucker for all those beautiful little things. Like, love it. That was adorable. I love that. Um, and I will say she's a little star. Like, when she was posing and smiling, like, God bless her. It reminded me of my beautiful little niece. So she's the face of a brand. I'm not sure if the brand is Pinky's brand or her husband Derek with his fine self, his brand, or like just a brand that they are working with. So I thought that was cute. And then Pinky says that her mom is a singer from a reggae band. And it's funny, like, now when she said that, now looking at Pinky and seeing how she is, like, she gives me vibes that she is raised with like by someone who is in the reggae world. I do not know what that means or why I'm saying that or how that makes sense in my head, but it does make sense when I was looking at Pinky. I was like, that's nice. So Angela shows up with her daughter to the photo shoot that Pinky has for her daughter, and then Cynthia shows up later. And then when Angela shows up, I literally was like, oh, okay, Angela making her way around the group. I see you, like, as in, like, in the sense of, like, she's going and meeting everyone individually, getting to know people. But at the same time, I'm like, are you getting to know people for the sake of getting to know people? Or are you getting to know people because of the show and because, it's, Angela giving kind of the Bone Collective vibes? Like, who is the Bone carrier now? Because that's what it gives to me. Because obviously she does meet up with Shamea later, but they met up to squash something. But that's like at the very end. We'll get to that. Cynthia shows up, and then Pinky asks her to give some tips for her daughter. It was so cute seeing them take photos and hold hands. Bless. And then they catch Cynthia up on what's going on because Cynthia did show up to the Reiki event. She was there for a bit, but then she had a flight to catch, so she left early. So that was cute. Cynthia says that, like from her perspective, I guess, Porsha is making the effort to be friends with K Michelle because they then talk about the whole debacle and everything that had happened with K Michelle, or K Michelle drew Porsha at the table. I'll say. Pinky says that Porsha is giving mean girl energy, and what she is referring to or relating that to is a scene where it was Porsha, K Michelle, and Kelli. And when Porsha had dropped the information about, Kelli potentially or allegedly sleeping with the married man. And then when they had the event at the nail spa, and when K Michelle was saying, like, she just got up and there was like liquid everywhere from like just like some sort of like bodily function was playing up at that point. And Porsha was like, miscarriage. So for her, she says that that's, Porsha is giving mean girl, which I guess I can see if that makes sense. But at the same time, I felt like, especially with the miscarriage comment, I felt like Porsha didn't mean it that way. I just felt like it just came out that way. If that makes sense. Mind you, I'm also not a Porsha fan in that way too. Like, I'm Team Kenya. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And, we can all be honest with what we see on TV at the same time. Cynthia calls Angela and Pinky the Wranglers. I guess because she says that she sees that those two girls, like, they can sort of go between the group and like wrangle everyone in, which, that makes sense. But at the same time, I was like, oh, it's like, I see you, Cynthia. I see what you're doing. Like, Cynthia is giving, like, she's coaching the new girls on, how to like maneuver and how to work around the group and how to bring everyone together. Because for the most part, like, from Cynthia's history on the show, we saw her being the one, like, with her Bailey cues and with her Bailey bowl, like, she was always the one. Even now, the season when they all went to Dallas, like, though she is a friend, she was able to like bring everyone together to go down to Dallas. So yeah, I was like, I see Cynthia with the coaching. And then while they're talking, Pinky says to Angela, now that she's friends with Angela, she says, Angela is an instigator, and what she was talking to was a situation back when they were in Dallas, when Angela had basically suggested to Shamea, like, if you know what she's talking about or whatever, like, just say it. Like, why are you holding on? And she says that, well, yes, I guess she says that Angela is an instigator, but not like intentionally. But at the same time, I also feel like it's intentionally, but unintentionally all at the same time. Like, it's concerned, but at the same time, she's sort of like down for the mess, is what I'm seeing and what I feel is going on with Angela. And when she's out here meeting and catching up with like different people from the cast, whether she's getting along with them or whether they're a part of, the divided group on the other side, like, it's giving those vibes to me. And then I also had a note out here. I was like, Lordy, Angela still has it out for Shamea from last season. Because while they were talking there, I guess they suggest that Angela should have a sit down with Shamea to just sort of like clear the air. And obviously in the confessional, Angela calls Shamea Shamina. I'm just like, oh my God, that is so last year. Let it go, Angela. Like, I get it. But at the same time, didn't, Shamea bring like a bottle of olive oil with like an olive branch, extending the olive branch, I guess. And she also said that she's also about bringing the group together. Like, that's interesting. But then in the confessional, you call her Shamina. in like the group scene in Dallas, you tried to like basically put out to the people that she was the one that's like either splitting the group or she knows information that she's holding on to. Like, Angela, my girl Angela, we are watching you. Well, I'm watching you. Um, okay. I don't know what. How the hell do I write this freaking notes? I wrote here. Angela says for Pinky to convince her. So Cynthia says for Pinky to have a conversation with Portia to convince her to have a sit down with Kay Michelle. I think that's what I meant because that's what eventually happened. So we'll go with that. I could be wrong. And I'm just like, oh, look at Cynthia. She's coaching the girls. I mean, good on her. Like, I love, honestly, side note, I love this friend role for Cynthia. I feel like it just works for her and where she's at. And I also feel like, doesn't she have the choice? Wasn't she offered a role like full time, but she wants to be a friend of, which I think is cute. Like, she can go come and she's just not just like a brand new friend. She's like a familiar friend, like someone we've seen before, someone who's familiar with the group, someone who's familiar with production, familiar with Bravo, Andy, and all that. So, good. So Pinky says that Portia has some level of understanding and she's willing to try again. They then show a flashback of Pinky and Portia catching up, and oh my god, Pinky, she just talks and talks and talks. Like while Portia was talking, she just kept talking and going on. And in the scene, Portia says, space allows some level of conversation that seems healthy, and I'll have it. And I guess like space between her and Kay Michelle, like hopefully things will settle and they can think clearly, and then they can have a more grown up, honest conversation, just the two of them one on one. And I was like, who's this new Portia? But at the same time, like it's cute to see or whatever. Then they cut to a scene where Shamea visits Kelli at the dentist, and at first I was like, why is Kelli at the dentist? Like, what is she doing? And then Kelli does tell us that she went to get new teeth or get her teeth done. And from what Shamea says, the guy Jarvis, he paid $70,000. I guess he had given him $70,000. My thing is, if you are potentially going through bankruptcy, or if you are potentially having like financial issues as it pertains to like your business and your divorce, which she says is a what $200,000 divorce, why then would you now spend $70,000 that someone is giving you on teeth? You could use that to like. I didn't see an issue with like Kelly's teeth, so why? Like the new ones look cute, but what I'm saying is like I didn't see an issue. Why did she need to spend that money then when she could have put that money towards her business or whatever else she needed like financially at that moment? And also when she mentioned that, oh, excuse me, when she mentioned that Shamea says that um Jarvis deserved 70,000 blowjobs, and I wrote ew, and I'll explain why I said ew. Was like I was just like, what is wrong with just receiving a gift from a man, especially a man that like loves you and who cares for you? Like, why does it have to sound like maybe am I being like like a prude or something? Because I can assure you I'm not. But to me, it was just like, why does it have to sound like every time someone gives someone money, or in this instance, like this man was giving his girlfriend or his partner money? Why does it have to be like she then has to return the favor? Why couldn't it be like he's just giving it from the the goodness of his heart, and she's just wholeheartedly taking it with the need to do any SEXUAL favors? Like that doesn't make sense to me, but I guess to me it's just trying to be goofy and funny. um I don't understand. And then it cuts to Drew having a meeting with her team, and she is introducing a new manager to the rest of her team. There is a lot of people on the team. And then when she was explaining how she has like a personal team and a business team, I'm not understanding why. Like, wouldn't just one team be enough? Like, why do you need like two different? I don't know what Drew has going on, but at the same time, I was just like, how it came out in the news or like on the blogs, I will say that Drew was making $14,000 allegedly. I never believed that. Like to me, I was just like, how's this woman making this amount of money and she has all this stuff and she has all these things going on? I don't believe it. And what I'm saying I don't believe it is like, at the same time, Drew, hide your money from the damn man. Hide it from Ralphie. Ralph, do not show him what is going on. I see you, Drew. I see you and shit. I don't blame you at the same time because you have to do what you have to do. because this divorce is costing her a lot of money too. So, and then so while they were sitting there talking, or she was like introducing her, I think her name's Kiona or Keon. While she was, please forgive me if I mispronounced a name or didn't say the name correctly at all. While they were there introducing the new manager to her team, everyone sort of starts speaking up. And what I wrote here, so there's fiction amounts of stuff. So the wig stylist is saying that the assistant isn't acting like one, and he's saying that at some point he had to be the assistant, while at the same time being the wig stylist or hairstylist, I will say. And then the assistant that they were roasting, or he was roasting, then turns around and says how, like, sometimes there's been times where Drew's wig was lifting, and I was like, oh my days. I would have, if I was Drew, I'd have been like, you know what, everyone shut up. Like, I get that the wig was lifting, but why you have to say this? Why you have to tell the whole Atlanta what is going on? Like, Marlo, tell the whole Atlanta why you're so mad with me. Anyway. And then someone else, I think his name is Freedom. Is it Freedom? I can't remember what his role was. But anyway, he also, like, basically brings up that they like two different people are having issues with the assistant. So I'm just like, well, if more than one person has an issue with someone, maybe there is something going on with that person. I mean, I know that, wouldn't you want your team or everyone to be like harmonious and all that? And obviously, while they're going back and forth, like, Drew then, speaks up and tells them to, calm down and, like, stop speaking, because, like, it's becoming a lot. Like, how can she focus on her business and things that she really needs to focus on while her team is going back and forth? And she mentions, like, a few times that they had, very, like, really, really, like, heated issues and discussions, I will say. And then the new manager says this is becoming demeaning and not informative. And I like that. Because, like, instead of them saying or trying to figure out how they can all work together, it's coming across that they are dogpiling on someone else. And though I get that could be right, they are well within their rights to, express how they feel, especially when it's within, the confines of a work environment. At the same time, I believe there's a way that you can, bring that sort of information up, or you can tell someone about, I guess, how they can better perform, or how they can, change something, or how they can do something a more efficient way, I think. One more thing, while they were talking about, I don't know, what just came into my head. I noticed that Pinky has not said anything about bankruptcy. Thank God. Because the amount of times that she was saying bankruptcy, all like the previous episodes, I was like, if I was taking shots right now, I would have been drunk as this skunk. I can tell you that much. So Porsha, Cynthia, Pinky, and K Michelle all meet up. Everyone looks amazing. Everyone looks so cute. They all greet each other, which is nice. Even K Michelle and Porsha greet each other, and they said that, you look good, blah blah blah. And then Porsha says, "Look outside, it's storming." And I was like, "Oh my days! Here comes the water to wash away all the sins and all all the drama and everything." And then K Michelle, so that what's her name? K Michelle says she doesn't feel that Porsha is a bad person. She just feels that Porsha is not smart. And I'm just like, as in, like, this is information that you know from watching this show previously. So it's just like, now who's plotting? I mean, it is what it is. And then, Cynthia takes charge of the conversation and says that, her and Pinky should, let the girls talk, which I like and I agree. They both stood up and they left to leave Cynthia, to leave Porsha and Kelli to have a conversation, which I thought was a very smart move. And then while they were sitting, just before they got up and left, Pinky says that, she's feeling like she's losing her voice. And Porsha says, thank God. Because, I mean, Pinky does talk too much, and she does not let people get a word in my opinion. And then Porsha says to, Kay Michelle, what's going on? And then Kay says, she's willing to listen to her when they're talking, but she says to Porsha that she feels that Porsha is not hearing her. Like, she is listening and wanting to hear Porsha, but Porsha is not hearing her. And that's what Kay says to Porsha. Porsha says that she was already closed off to the conversation due to things that were already brought to her, I guess, like different people, or maybe within or outside the group that have said things that maybe K Michelle had said, or things that were going on in the background. K Michelle takes ownership, and she said that she was wrong, which is great to say, which is great to see, like, they're able to, I guess, try to, like, patch things up and sort of move on. Porsha brings up to Kay saying that Porsha was going to Oh, Porsha brings up Kay saying that Porsha was going to expose her. Porsha says, if you brought that up, we could have talked. Or, like, if you're feeling that way, we could have talked, which I agree at the same time. But I also feel like I feel like there's more to the story why that, Kay Michelle just didn't feel comfortable. And we're just purely talking about the whole, miscarriage comment or any other comment. Lord Jesus, we're at 40 minutes now. My God. And then Kay Michelle says that her first encounter with Porsha, where she exposed Kelli when they all had tea together, and she said that Kelli was sleeping with a married man, which is why she's very standoffish. And I get that to an extent, like especially if you meet someone for the first time or one of the few first times, and the first thing that you see them doing with your first experience with them is completely throwing someone under the bus, under the bus in front of everyone, in front of the whole world, really. Portia says that their history is different and Kay shouldn't go off what she sees, which I agree. Because, like, yes, Kay Michelle may have seen that, but at the same time, Portia and Kelli already had like ongoing beef from the previous season, from season 16. So it was just everything from then that has now rolled on into the new season, into the new scenes, new episodes. So I agree. So I don't think it should have been like something where Kay Michelle was basing how she was going to move and react to Porsha based on that. But at the same time, how she feels, I can respect that too. And then so Porsha and Kay Michelle both wish each other well. Porsha says this is the second time that Kay has apologized and she doesn't know about the third time. It is what it is. Kay Michelle then suggests that, if they have another disagreement or whatever, they have 48 hours to sort their issues out in the future. Let's see how long this lasts because, that mid-season trailer was crazy. So Kay says that Drew puts herself in drama and people don't pick on her. I don't know. I don't know about that because I cannot see how, especially when it comes to Kay Michelle and Drew. Drew only brought up how she felt Black and Kay Michelle knew each other because Kay Michelle at the first episode, when she had seen Black on the phone, was like, it's nice to see you again. To me, that means that you know them. I don't think she's trying to put it out there that they know each other in like an intimate way. She was just saying like, they know each other, which I don't know. I feel like it's a curious and normal question to say. But I'll say that everyone does pick on Drew. Everyone, even from the past till now, they do pick on Drew, which is weird. Like, I don't know why they think Drew is an easy target. Drew Shady, she can hold her own. She can, she's been around for like a good 5 seasons now. To me, she is starting to become a veteran. Kay Michelle also says that Drew is lying. She's lying, and like she's talked to all 3 like parties, as in Phaedra, Porsha, and Drew, like as it pertains to this whole plot thing situation. She says part of Drew's plot was to bring up Black, but I'm like, how? I really still don't understand that whole Black situation. I'm seriously tired of talking about Black as it comes to Kay Michelle, Drew, and even Drew and dating him, like whatever. Kay says that Drew used the euphemism of the oyster to shade her, as in saying like, and the euphemism as in like from the past when one of her disgruntled ex, as she says, had said, something about her, her lady parts, like having a smell or something being off about the smell. Like, I don't understand. And it cuts to the scene showing, them at the dinner, and they were just, making jokes about the oyster. I don't think it was anything directed at Kay Michelle, which is also my question why Kay Michelle feels like everything is about her, because everything is not about you. Like, why do you feel like you're just, the center of everything that they're talking about? Some things are just not about you. Like, some things have nothing to do with you at all. Like, just let it go. Let it go, girl. Because, when she said that, be careful, when Drew said that be careful with the oysters, that's how this whole thing got started. Well, it started before. I just don't understand how that relates. Because, like, I personally have heard that, like, oysters can be dangerous in the sense of, like, there are certain times of the year, like, out of season, you don't eat oysters. Or, me personally, if I went somewhere where it's, like, landlocked, I'm not going to eat any seafood, especially not oysters. Like, you could get seriously sick. And I would not want to go there. So that's where what I was thinking of when Drew had said that comment at the first place. So Portia says that Shamea said Drew did in fact say she's connecting Kay to Black. How? Like I said, I still don't understand. I really, really don't understand. Because all she was doing was question. Maybe I missed something as well. All she's doing is questioning how they know each other, which is a valid question anyway. Um, Kay shades Drew having Tubi movies, and she says that they don't pay well. Like from what I heard from Claudia Jordan, who was also in season 7 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, she says that Tubi pays well. Any job is a job, so I don't understand why people need to shade people about having a job or whether something's low paying or high paying. Like it's a job; it gets you out there, gets you more gigs. I don't see the issue with that, especially in this day and age. Kay Michelle, it is not the shade that you think it is, and it is not landing how you think it's landing. Um, Kay also says that she is not coming from a hateful place with Drew. I'm like, really? You talked about this lady's looks, then you talked about her lack of resume, then you talk about how Tubi doesn't pay well. So it's just like it's giving hateful. To me, it's giving very hateful. My thing is like, I wrote here, why do you keep saying this, Kay Michelle, when she said that, she's not coming from a hateful place? Or why do you keep saying that, but your actions are showing something else? I just don't know why she's coming for Drew or why, whatever. Angela and Shamea meet up. Oh my god! So Angela already arrives first. She's already sitting in the restaurant. Shamea walks in and she says, "I'm meeting someone here, a tall lady with size 12 shoe." I was like, Shamea, please, like, you're cute and all, but at the same time, it's like, how are you gonna shade someone in the shoe size when you're walking up with a cat suit in the daytime? Like, we are not at a club. We're not. It to me, I just felt like the attire didn't suit where they were going. But whatever. Like, Shamea has all the money in the world, so that should whatever. They greet each other, but obviously it was so icy. Like the way they said hi, I was kind of like, where do we go from here? And Shamea literally gets everything started. She's like, what made you set this up? But at the same time, too, I'm like, yeah, if we're arguing or you're accusing me of something, why are you then going out of your way to like try to set this up? Because I'm just like, what's really going on? Like now I am genuinely concerned and genuinely confused for myself and what the hell is going on. Shamea gets straight to the mess with regards to what Angela said in Dallas about Shamea and how like she is splitting the group. Shamea says Angela's discernment is off, and I was like, oh my lord. And as I mentioned earlier, the waiter, when she came in, she's like, I hope you all came here hungry. I was like, they did not come there hungry. They did not come there hungry. They came there to argue, and they were going to leave soon. So, lady, you could have just gone in the corner and served someone else. Don't worry about the girls. um, I will say, I also don't think that Angela's bothered by Shamea. I just feel like Angela finds this all like comical, funny, and she's just like doing things to just get under Shamea's skin. That's my opinion. So Angela says, Angela says, Shamea says Angela was stirring things. So Angela says that Shamea says Angela was stirring things up between her and Porsha, which I agree to an extent. Like, I get that Angela has these things where like she's asking questions, even last season, even this season. She's asking questions, but at the same time, sometimes to me it comes across like, are you genuinely asking because you care, or you're trying to like, clear the air? And why does it need to be you that leads this conversation? Like, what is going on? Or are you doing it to be messy? She could be doing both, but at the same time, it's just like concerning to me. So Shamea has a Point. Angela forgave Porsha and Phaedra for last year's shenanigans, which I felt like, Porsha, Phaedra was higher, and whatever happened with her and Shamea really wasn't that much. So I don't know what is going on. When Shamea, I'm thinking you're a little touched. That took me out because that reminded me of like, so I'm from the islands, like I'm from the Pacific Islands. If anyone was wondering. And I remember when we were little growing up, and something like if someone's acting crazy or someone's just like not acting the norm, my aunt would always go like, "Oh, he or she, like they're a bit touched." So, like, as in touched, as in like touched in the spirit, like it's not right. Something isn't there with them. Like they're there, but something isn't there. Also, not them bringing up Candy. I know you're trying to be like Candy, and Angela said to Shamea, like obviously with her singing, her acting, and like just trying to be a mogul and doing all these businesses. And then Angela says, to Shamea that you're a lapdog in lipstick. I am done. Like, I am truly, 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 honestly done. Like, what the hell? And then the lady comes back while they're arguing, going back and forth. Hi, ladies. That took me out. That took me out because she said hi, ladies, and she just stood there. And then they just kept going back and forth. And then the waiter was like, standing there with like whatever I assume was a card reader, like, and she was doing these ones, like trying to hold her laughing. I would have been the same. Trust and believe. I would have been dead on the floor. Well, not dead, dead. Shouldn't be speaking that up on my life. Knock, knock on wood. Yeah, Angela says that she's a background singer and wants an EGOT. And then she was like, get a hit first. And we've seen Shamea and Drew sing last year at that little Christmas jingle thing at BravoCon. Moving on. Shamea says she wants an EGOT, which, I think is great. Like, why not work towards it? But she doesn't want to be an Angela. That took me out. Because I'm like, what do you mean? I want an EGOT. I don't want to be an Angela. Like, that was hilarious to me. And then Angela says that I'm self-made, never had to lay on my back to make money. Angela said that to Shamea. And I'm just like, if she's married to someone and this man is providing her a lifestyle, what is wrong with your husband providing? Like, if you're with someone that can provide for you, whether male, man, or woman, like I'm talking about in terms of like either a heterosexual or homosexual relationship, gay, lesbian, whatever. What is wrong with your partner providing for you? I do not see the issue with that. So when people try to shade people for that, I'm like, are you jealous about something? Angela, is there something bothering you? Why would you say that? That's weird. And especially if they're married, there's nothing wrong with him providing for her, like as he should. As he should. That's his wife, the mother of his children, and the mother that he wants to have more kids with to raise. So apparently Charles sees Shamea out all the time. Interesting. So Angela accuses Shamea of sleeping with the Atlanta Falcons because they're talking about jobs. And then Shamea was basically saying, like, those are the jobs you need instead of, selling houses and like losing money and all that. And then that's when Angela says that, like, oh yeah, like the men pay well, like basically saying that Shamea is sleeping with all these Atlanta Falcons people for money or for jobs and for like, access, and that is crazy. And then Shamea called her a Sasquatch and walks up. She was like, you can kiss this ass. No, they're calling her a Sasquatch. I am done. And like, how tall is Angela? Because I've seen a picture when they were in Dallas. I saw a picture, and the way Angela looks so tall, like she was taller than Cynthia. Like, was she wearing higher heels than Cynthia, or is she just really tall? Like that's wild. That's something I want to know. And then Angela goes, "You sleep with Sasquatch every night." I am done. I am done. And then I literally was like, I am screaming. And then she was like, tell your husband to look in the mirror. Poor Gerald. Poor Gerald is out here catching strays. I don't think Gerald's a bad looking man. I mean, if anything, I feel like Gerald and Charles are on par with each other. So if anyone's the Sasquatch, it's the both of them. If you wanted to go down that way, Angela. So anyway. And then after that, they both went outside and did like in-person confessionals. I don't know how you call it. Or like, it's nice because like at the same time, like you get to like see their live honest reaction right there in the moment. Not like months have passed where they then ask them what had happened. Like you get just genuinely how they feel instead of like, months have passed. They've then heard other stories, or they've then thought about how they could have reacted, and then, things just go to the next level. So this is my reaction. This is my commentary on the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 17, episode number 9. This was a pretty good episode. Obviously, it's clearly showing how they're literally divided. Like, I'm not too sure how they're going to go forward, but I have a feeling, to me, the way Angela and Pinky are positioned, they're like the two middle people from either group, if that makes sense. I feel like the way Cynthia called them the wranglers, I feel like she was, I guess, coaching them on how like to wrangle and bring everyone in, like try to get the group together, which I can see working. I just feel like either they all need to just agree to be on the same page, or agree to let, certain things go. Okay, Michelle, like, if you're going to talk about a plot, just say what's going on. Like, why keep harping on about something that you're really not willing to say, or really not willing to let us know what's going on? That's just my opinion. But they also showed the mid-season trailer, and that looks crazy because we see Porsha and Shamea going back and forth like about their mothers, and obviously a little backstory. Someone had said that, Porsha and Shamea's mother were friends before, and then they sort of had a falling out. not to get like too far ahead of myself, but for me, if my mother was friends with someone and they had a falling out and I was friends with a child, I'm not sure how it would be, because for me, I would love to support I would support my mother. I support my mother, my father. I couldn't. But that's my thoughts on the Real Housewives of Atlanta season number 17, episode 9. Please leave your thoughts down. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. If you have any suggestions on how or what I can do to make things better, please, in a respectful way, let me know. And I love you all for watching. And I will see you next time for another video. And I will see you next week again for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Have a good night. Bye.